And we are live. I am so excited for this conversation today. We are going live into the Leverage to Scale Facebook community. We have member Kathleen Zemansky on the line with us, who I just think is so radiant. Look at those glasses and her whole presentation. I said that to you, Kathleen, the first time that we got on Zoom, didn't I? So I'm very consistent. I think you are radiant. I don't know if that makes you uncomfortable, but you know, that's okay. Not really. Well, Kathleen and I really hit it off right out of the gates, and she has a really fascinating business. I'm going to let her give you a little bit of context about that in just a second. But the purpose of today's live stream is we have about 25 minutes, and during that time, Kathleen is putting me in the hot seat. So what that means is I'm the one who's nervous and uncomfortable over here because she's going to ask me whatever she feels to ask me that would help move her business and her goals forward. The topics are unlimited pretty much. So NGNG is a service-based business where we design experiential websites. We are lucky enough to be able to build out Kathleen's new redesign, which I'm really, really excited about. Leverage to Scale, which is a product that teaches virtual assistants on your team how to do all of your marketing for you so you can avoid those high agency fees and have more control and ownership. We do live streaming and book launches, but there's a lot that I know about funnels and monetization and virtual events. You could really look at me as an online platform and business development expert. I've been in the game since 2007, so she can literally ask me whatever she wants, and we'll see what happens. Now, this is going to be an incredible value for you, so I want to thank you who is listening to this. Be sure to subscribe to our channels to get notified when future episodes like this to become available, or you might say, I want to put Amber in the hot seat. And my team would be in the comments, and we will take note of your name and profile information and reach out to you the next time we are scheduling one of these as well. So Kathleen, I want to protect this time fully for you. Why don't you give any listeners a quick background, some context as to who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and then just start pounding away with questions. I'm ready for you.
All right. Well, first of all, Amber, thank you so much for allowing me to be on, and I see it as a hot seat for me too, because I'll be along the way. So thank you for this opportunity. I am so honored to work with you. And I started out with an evergreen program because I'm writing a book. And so that's what some of my questions are about. So first, for those of you who are probably new to me, my name is Kathleen Zemansky, and I'm a Business Feng Shui Master. But I have, I would say, a unique way of looking at Feng Shui because I practice classical Feng Shui, which means I address person, space, time, and universe. And what that means is every space is unique. There's not one space in this world, even if you have the exact same floor plan, it's going to be different because of your orientation, where you live, where you built, the materials, and all of that. But it always starts with the person. So the astrology of a person, and I focus on business, and that's a very clear line in the sand of how it's practiced in the Western world. So I go back to how the ancients really practiced it, the origins of this very empowering methodology. I focus mostly on women in business, but there are obviously some very wonderful men that I work with as well. Big corporations, big Titan, Silicon Valley Titans corporations I'm working with as well. Okay, so
that's so cool. I mean, honestly, I talk to a lot of people, and when I first got connected with Kathleen, I just like hearing her talk because she has such an interesting and unique perspective on the world, and she's a freaking master at what she does. So truly the honor is mine, Kathleen, but go ahead.
Thank you. I actually have master distinction. It's not a title that is self-imposed. I was trained highly in Asia, so I own that master status. So thank you. And I do feel radiant. One of the reasons I feel radiant is because I follow my own advice of person, space, and time. When you are in that vibrant flow, you really actually have that vibrancy. So it's more about, inner than the outer to me, but thank you for acknowledging that as well, Amber. All right, well, let's get down to what I do every year in January leading up to Chinese New Year, which is around February 3rd or 4th. This year in 2021, it's the 3rd, but I always do an annual event where I address person, space, time, and universe, giving my annual predictions on how to play out the year. Well, this year, for the first time, I've decided to write a companion book that will be published in November. So when I was writing out the script for, this upcoming year, it was like, oh my God, I really actually have a book. And I realized, learning styles and all of that, we have, some people like to read, some people like to go to events, some people like both. But I have a very short time, Amber. And so I really right now to help. Go ahead.
One quick clarifying question. The companion book in November, that's releasing in November, shares the content that you will also be discussing at your January event, which is going to give me your predictions on the year ahead for 2021. Just making sure. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. So I have decided that I'm going to do this companion book, but I'm now coming up with an idea of, and then every year I'll have a book that goes along with it, because every year the energies shift. We have possibilities. So the real question here is, how do I position myself in such a short time to get as many people as I can, to the event and get this book published. So I'm really thinking this year. So every year might be a little bit different, but this year, I think it might be a good list building strategy. So it really is maybe not, of course I would like to make money on the book, but I think building my list to help me get closer to an expert in the field or an influencer status. What would you say with this really short time frame? How can I best get this book into the marketplace, into the hands of people that are my avatar? Thanks to you, I'm figuring that out much better as well. So what would your...
This is interesting.
Yeah.
So I would be thinking, what are 3 groups of people that could have the most success, the most impact, the most transformation as a result of the findings in the book, the predictions inside of the book? So that's kind of a first thought, is you're still going to promote it to the masses for sure, right? Like that's happening, but you're picking 3 to go really deep with. Mm-hmm. And then I would be finding who are the influencers or leaders in those 3 areas, and I would be having conversations with them to allow them to share this message for me. So I'm going to put that over here for a second, and then say the other piece of this is figuring out the best positions. And what I do is I just think about the state of the world right now. Okay, so what is the state of the world right now? Number 1, uncertainty is the word, right? That's the word everybody is using. That's the word that everybody feels. We have no freaking clue what to expect in the future. There's an election. We're headed into flu season. It's a new year. Is next year going to be as messed up as this year? What's going to happen to the economy? I mean, there's a lot of fear that's happening, as you know. And that is driving another thing that I have been talking about a lot right now, which is mental health. And people are just, it's interesting. It's like a veil coming over the mind where we're just not quite as productive, and we're just not quite as clear. And there's just this fog and this sadness, and we don't know what to do about that. Mm-hmm. But here's what's so brilliant about you, Kathleen, is that you are saying, I am taking all of the tools, the universe and time, etc. And now I have these predictions that are rooted in a structure that is real. This isn't just fantasy land, right? This is rooted in a structure that is real. And I am going to give you my highest and best to help you tackle that uncertainty so that you can get rid of the fog, you can get more focused and clear. And no matter what happens on the other side, whoever gets elected, whatever happens to the economy, whatever happens with flu season, you are now going to be armed with the tools and the energy and the focus to manifest your dreams or goals, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the positioning. Now that you have that positioning based on what happens this time in the world, next year, it's going to be a very different position because there's going to be a very different set of experiences that are influencing whatever that position is. But now we know what our position is. Works perfectly with your book. There's always an angle and the event. So then if we look at the 3 silos of people, one I'm thinking is high performers. I'm doing more work right now in the mortgage industry, for example. Mortgage industry, high performers, extraordinary demand right now. Future's uncertain. They're not sure what to do. They don't have good self-care because they're burnt out like crazy. That could be an interesting outlet for them to redirect some of that energy in a more productive way. I'm also thinking about parents, especially moms. Because they're doing like homeschooling, like the demands on family units right now are unprecedented, right? So I just be thinking like, what are a couple of silos? Then how do I have conversations with some industry leaders and influencers in each of those silos? So like, who's the big deal on the block right now, or even a medium-sized deal right now on the block that speak to parents who have to learn virtual homeschooling? Or is it teachers? Like who could I talk to right now? And then how can I have a phone conversation with that person and just say, hey, I see the work that you're doing in the world. It's meaningful. It aligns with what my beliefs are and what I think is important right now. I wanted the opportunity to tell you about this event that I'm running. I have a companion book that's launching in November. I think if you really understood how this material applies to your audience, it will position you as a higher value. It's going to impact more lives. And I think we can create a win-win scenario here and just see if there's an opening. And some of them will be like, not interested, lady. Other people will just be on fire with it because they'll get it. And those are your people. And then you work out whatever they would need in order to feel good about promoting it. And now all of a sudden, you have so much more influence in markets that you might not have currently, and you're not doing it alone. That's going to elevate your time involvement so you can focus on making sure you're prepared for the event and you're fulfilling on the book and those sorts of things. I'll pause, I'll take a breath and say so we talked about position, we talked about how you can narrow into some markets, how to have conversations with influencers to get some support there. I'm not worried about your timeline. It's just a matter of getting into action.
Well, and that, I had never even thought about that reaching out to influencers on, I was thinking more about like categories and things like that, but I never really thought about taking that approach. So that is such a great strategy that I will absolutely like starting today is really identifying who those people might be, because that's exactly where, getting the stamp of approval from someone who does believe in what I do in the way that I believe in it. Because now more than ever, one of the biggest uncertainties, as you pointed out, is our space is more important now than it is ever been.
Oh my gosh, I know, you're right.
Whoever thought at the time of this recording that we would be cloistered for 7 months, right? And I hate to tell you, because of what I do, I did predict we would be wearing face masks and super viruses. The economy was going to tank, and the real estate and the commercial sector business, it was going to be a tough year. I spoke about that January before it hit the US, the COVID hit the US. But going forward, we do know, in my field, we do know, and science and astrology are aligning in this, we are going into a good deal of third quarter of next year in this turbulent time. Then we're going to find its natural way. But until we do, understanding your space, i.e. feng shui of your space, I'm telling you, by being in one area of your office and just moving over a few degrees is incredibly impactful. But knowing that formula is where I can help with that. So my next question would be—
hold on. Before you ask your next question, Kathleen, I just have to say, would anybody be interested in attending a webinar from Kathleen on space and what to do so that we feel better and make a bigger impact? I know it's going to be like overwhelming with like hearts and comments, but I think that's important validation for you to see afterward. And I will give a shout out to Daryl because he's a client and just want to say hi. A lot of great comments that are happening, people getting involved. It's wonderful to see. So Kathleen, I know I absolutely want to make sure that we have a time at some point when you feel it's appropriate, possibly around your companion launch. I want to have a different interview with you through our channels, so that people really get a chance to understand more about what you think from a feng shui perspective, but also in the year ahead perspective. So I just want to know, we'll schedule that. We'll do that soon because I think my audience would really love to hear that from you.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm telling you, it's that one drop of a time, right? We can't separate the drop out of the ocean, but as a collective,
yes,
it's the domino effect. You can take a neighborhood and trash it and the domino effect will go negative. We can do the same with positive. So as a collective, we have our share of work to do, but we can do it, and we can do it one space at a time.
Yes. Okay, good. Freaking love you. What's your next question?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, my next question, really, I'm going to go back to this book because, again, I've been in compilation books, but I've never taken the dive to do this by myself. And so I'm thinking, as far as the book is concerned, is to put in the book maybe a QR code or something of that nature where people could scan it once they bought it. And then that would give them, some sort of discount into my annual event, because obviously you can only write so much that's going to happen. It's going to be published in November, but as we have seen, even though we're in a slowdown, things are really moving very quickly as well. So there's going to be new information once that book is off to the publisher that I will be able to add at the event. And there's so many things that I would be able to do. But as a QR code type or URL, whatever, however we're going to be doing that, has that been a strategy that has worked for others? Or what other ideas can you give me besides a discount to my event that would help bring in people to purchase the book and or the event?
Yes, the strategy works. There are several details that I'll share with you. Number one, whether it's a QR code or a URL, right? URL is a safer bet because there are a lot of people still that have no clue how to use a QR code. I was one of those until sometime this summer. You go to a restaurant now and it's like, here's the QR code. Yes, I'm admitting this out loud. Didn't know what to do. And then looking at the QR code, I thought you had to have an app or what was it? So I know I'm not alone in that. I'm not going to feel bad about myself anymore. I think the URL is the safer bet. But the nice thing is if you have a URL, it can go to this destination, but what's on the other side of that destination can change and it can grow and evolve over time. I want you to design that page in the book in a way that even if I decide to go buy the book in May, that link is still relevant. So be careful of how you word that in the book. Okay. Now, whatever, I go to this link, and the page for now is like, hey, I've got this event, and because you're here, you get this discount. Or you could consider a buy one, get one free, so you can have a friend join. It depends on your goals there, if you want to impact more people or if you want less people. So there's a lot that we could strategize around that and any upsells or whatever, but something to keep in mind, some sort of offer. But after the event is over, that page, the URL that you send people to, can now shift to buy the replay or join my upcoming, you missed this event, but join the upcoming webinar. Maybe you decide to start doing a once a month webinar that's out of that page. That's why you have to be careful about the way you word it inside of the book. It could be join my upcoming event where I go deeper into this content, and you'll get a special discount on the page. Here's the link. That event could be in person, it could be a webinar, it could be a virtual one-day event, it could be anything, right? So some things to think about there.
The value of a book director.
Yes.
Because really it is so true that, I have a certain idea of what it should be and feel like, but hearing from an expert that has done this, literally thousands of times, that it really, it's so valuable. It's so valuable. So, so I'm going to ask you,
and this is probably our final question that we'll have time for.
Okay, so this book does not have longevity. I'm writing another book that does have longevity, but let's face it, it is about the upcoming year. At the end of next year of 2021, the information is no longer going to be relevant because we go on to the other, because there's many types of feng shui, long-term, short-term, mid-term, but this particular event and book is the short-term. So with that said, and list building as my idea, because the book still will have, I still would purchase a book. I don't feel like waiting till next year to adjust my space. I'm going to do it right now. I personally would buy a book like that. But how do I keep that engagement going after January or February 2021, when most people are going to be searching for this type of methodology and information?
I would just chunk it down, meaning that right now you're saying, get this now and plan for the year ahead. And then now it's January, and it's like the third week of each month, I would have a little micro launch. Third week, it's like, are you ready for the next month and what happens and how February influences the rest of this year? Oh, it's the third week of February. Are you ready for March and how March is pivotal for what's going to happen the rest of the year? And you can actually you can take out little pieces of what happens in March as like a little teaser, or you could even say like, hey, what this thing that's going to happen in March is linked to what happens in October, and understanding the timeline of how these things play together is what, oh my gosh, hopefully you're ready for this. So literally every single month for the rest of the year, it should just be building. And I think you sell it all year long. And then once you get to around October, you can then start infusing in the next year and how you're going to position that.
Brilliant. Wow.
I know. I love that for you. I wish I had a book and a business like that so I could have that strategy. Maybe I should.
Well, there you go. Maybe we could talk about that.
That's really smart. Yeah.
That is a very smart strategy. Oh my gosh. That to me, you just did my year business plan as well.
Well, because what most people do is you think like, oh, I can launch it this one time, but then what's the next thing? And then the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But it's like you have so much mileage out of the one thing that you got to just keep going, because it takes so much longer to do the lift for the next thing for the first time, right? So that's what I think about authors. It's like, don't just write the book once and do the launch once, relaunch once a year, have a big production of it. Even if you did write it 5 years ago, revive the marketplace, or you could do little micro launches throughout the year as well. But it's like, we should be getting way more mileage out of our ideas to really give them a fair shot at being, accepted by the world.
Right. Well, Amber, I can't thank you enough. This was very sage advice. Also very fun. It's always fun to talk to you. I wish we could do it more often, but two busy women entrepreneurs. There you go. But we'll find the time. So thank you so much. This was fun.
Well, so tell people where to go find you.
So you can find me at www.5elementsgroup.com. That's numeral 5elementsgroup.com. And I can say in I'm following my protocol, which will be launching October 30th, and Amber's going to have a brand new site. So you might want to go check it out now and see the before and after, because it's going to be,
oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Revolutionary. I'm so excited.
It's going to be beautiful. I'm really excited. So thank you for your time and your trust and just how you show up in the world every single day, Kathleen. You are one of those bright lights in the world that is full of impact and giving. So we look forward to having you back to talk about the release of your book and your upcoming event. Happy to promote that. And for the rest of you, would sure love it if you could put your favorite idea or takeaway into the chat comments. Give Kathleen some love. Go follow her on social media. Ask her some follow-up questions. And we will see you back on these channels later today as I interviewed Dr. Jeff Moody, whose #1 best-selling book launches today. So we're going to be celebrating him and giving him some love today as well. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Be safe and well.